Hi YouTube, welcome to another trying our best to fix video. I've been making videos lately about tearing apart broken video game accessories, video game related things, and just going in blind, trying our best to see if we can fix what's wrong with it, get it back up and running. So this is a Switch I got off of eBay, Nintendo Switch. It's pretty cool. It's a Zelda themed Switch. Although I think this backing here is just a sticker. It's not actually a full back case. Yeah, that's definitely a sticker. You can kind of see the seam there where it doesn't fully cover the back of the case. But still cool anyway. I think I'm going to keep it on here. I like it. But description was does not power on. So we're just going to try our best, dive in, see what's going on with this. Hopefully we can get it back up and running. So I'm just gonna start off, press the power button. I mean, you never know. Oh. Okay. Battery. Well, let's plug it in and see the amperage that's taking. Maybe it's a bad USB-C port. It's taking can you see that? Yeah, 0.46. That's a slow charge, I think. I've played with these a little bit before Switches, but still a lot to learn. So, looks like it's charging. Whenever it'll hover around 0.46 for a bit, 0.46 amps. There you can see. And then it'll jump up whenever it starts turning on to a little bit over 1 amp, and that'll be its fast charging. So we'll see if it does that. So I'll leave this for a few minutes, let it charge. Actually, I'm gonna put on a dock that I have up there. It might charge a little bit faster. I don't know if that makes a difference, but I'll put it on the dock, and we'll come back to this in a few minutes, or whenever it has enough juice to start turning on. See you then. Actually, we're gonna do something a little bit different. So I don't want this to be a boring video, because it's fixing to be a boring video if it's just gonna be, plug it in, charge it for a bit. It's looking real good to just be a fully healthy Switch, just needed plugged in to charge. So I got another one. Got another Switch that we can take a look at. Same thing, not the same seller, but came in with no power being in the description as the issue. So we're gonna plug this one in, see what happens. I'm gonna throw this on the dock, like I said. And just take a look at that port. It looks alright. No bent pins I can see. Yeah, let's put that on the dock. Let that charge. Maybe it doesn't dock. I've seen that a few times. Oh, well, first, let's just try to turn it on, see what happens. Nothing. Okay, so now let's plug it in, see what happens. Let me get the amp meter in frame so you can see it. Can you see the zeros? Yeah, there you go. It's taking 0.08. Okay, well that's definitely not normal. It's not responding to anything. Okay, so that's definitely something we're gonna have to open it up for. Good. Okay, so it's not gonna be as boring of a video as I thought it was gonna be. Awesome. Alright, so let's break it open. Let's see what we can find. This is a really nice condition Switch too. All around, actually. Screen's pretty nice too. It looks like it had I don't know, maybe something on it. Maybe it was a screen protector. Took it off. I don't know. But all this little smudges on it should come off with a nice clean. Screws are tight, so that indicates that nobody's been in here yet, which is definitely what you want to see. You want to be the first guy going into a project like this, because when somebody else has opened it up, it's likely they've made it worse. And if they're selling it off for parts and people like me buy it, it just makes my job that much harder. Just pray that it's not water damaged. What was it, 0.06 or 0.08 amps, something like that. I've done a few of these before, no power switches. Whenever it hangs at the slow charging amperage, what the other one was, which I can't remember what it is now, 0.26, 0.36, I don't know, something 6, I think. Whenever it just hangs there, nothing on the screen, assuming it's not a bad LCD, a lot of the time it's a bad video chip. And a lot of the time, that's what you see in no power switches, bad video chips. Because I'm sure you've heard about the whole like third-party switch dock controversy where it was breaking a lot of switches. Well, that's what that is. The docking situation is what causes the video chip to blow. So you see a lot of those with dead switches, no power ones. And sometimes whenever I've opened it up and seen, you know, the damage that the video chip has gotten, it's almost always on the top right 2 pins of the video chip. When you're looking at it from the switch bottom facing toward you, it's always the top right video chip, or top right 2 pins of the video chip. So that must be the feed that goes into the chip from the dock. So before I take this off, I'm gonna make a guess. How about, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna bet on it being the charging chip. I don't know, just throwing it out there, charging chip. Maybe it'll be obvious where we can just take a look at it and see, oh no. See that pink? That means the water indicator's been triggered, which means, yep, water damage. All around there, you see that? The corrosion. Oh, it looks like this has been burnt too. The LCD connector. Just a little bit of corrosion over here. Well, still, it hasn't been opened up before. How does this look? That looks fine. So this is the charging chip. That's the guy I just mentioned. I thought it might be. It looks like that's corroded too. But there's also a little charging dude down here where all this massive amount of corrosion is. Not really sure what it does, but it's something with charging. I know that. Okay. So with water damage, I mean, all you can really do is just kind of replace things that aren't responding anymore, and then clean it up. You know, you could throw it in an ultrasonic cleaner, and that'll clean it better than just a hand scrub could. It gets under the chips and everything. I actually have one of those guys, ultrasonic cleaners. It's a small one. It doesn't fit large boards. The most it can fit is like a, I don't know if you know, but it's like a MacBook Air board. If you ever seen a motherboard to a MacBook Air, that's about the max that it can fit. I don't have any just sitting around that I can pull out and show you. Yeah, so this is probably bad. Ooh. Yeah, I'm not liking the look of that LCD connector. That is very Doesn't look water damaged at all. It just looks burned. Although there is a little bit of corrosion up here by the fan connector. I'll probably just straight up have to replace this connector. Wonder if the ribbon cable's good. Let's see. These connectors break real easily too, so that's why I'm being so careful with it. Alright, let me make sure I get this out right. Don't want to break it more than it already is. I don't know if you saw that, but whenever the connector came out, or the flex cable came out, a little plume of something got sprung up in the air. Yeah, that connector looks like absolute garbage. The end of that flex cable there. Might come out with a clean, but I'm gonna guess that is not salvageable. I have to get a new LCD. We'll just go ahead and take out the entire board. Get a look at the underside too. Well, this is going to be an interesting one. Looks like there's water damage all around the board, not just centralized in one area, although it does seem to be more intense down here by this charging chip number 2, I guess I'm going to call it. So I'm wondering if I should just replace that chip and try to turn it on and see what happens, or if I should just go at every bit of corrosion that I see and replace the components around. I think I might just go with that one charging chip, replace that, see what happens. You don't really got to worry about keeping your screws straight here, like keeping them organized, knowing which one exactly goes in which hole. As long as you know these little black screws that I'm pulling out right now, they keep the motherboard down. The silver ones that I was pulling out, they go in holes that keep the different components down to the motherboard, like this guy. And then the remainder of the screws just go into the case, really. So there's not much you really got to keep straight, which is nice. Sometimes in iPhones and other pieces of technology, you got to keep straight which screw goes in what hole, because if you mess it up, sometimes you'll put the wrong screw in the wrong hole, and you'll end up like drilling through the board, since it's like multi-layered. The motherboard's multi-layered, and whenever you put the long screw in the short hole, there's actually a name for that. It's long screw damage. You end up drilling through the board with the screw, and whenever you do that, you end up breaking the traces in the motherboard, and then you gotta go through and run wires between the traces. It's not fun. So just so I can see exactly where has damage, I'm not going to bother cleaning this until I replace everything that I think needs to be replaced. So that way I can look at the board and know exactly, like, okay, this part definitely was corroded, or this part wasn't. So that way I have some reference to go off of. Because if I go in and clean it and it doesn't work, which I would assume would happen, then I got nothing to go off of whenever I'm going back in to try to fix it up. Alright, it's time to see the under part of this board. What do you think? Is it going to be bad? Oh, missed one. I think it'll be clear. I don't think there'll be anything wrong with the underside. Oh. Well, I think I was right. Yeah, this all looks immaculate. I'm not seeing any corrosion at all. Well, this is pretty, like moderate water damage, I'd say. Not mild, but not severe. You got 3 main patches right there, up by the fan connector and LCD, right there. You got some tiny little patches, but I don't think that's really going to affect a whole lot. Up here is totally fine. Yeah. All right. Port looks good too. Okay, so I'm gonna hop over to the microscope now. Take a real close look at this. All right, so here's how the bad area looks under the scope near that charging chip, BQ2 something. It's not pretty. Pretty gross. So the chip's definitely gonna need to be redone, and I don't know, I might be able to clean up these capacitors and resistors around here. I think these are all capacitors actually, except for these guys, the black ones. But I don't know about this one. I don't know, he looks pretty far gone, so I think I might have to swap him over. But gonna go ahead and take this one off. Like I said, I'm not gonna bother cleaning it. That way I can see exactly where the bulk of the corrosion has happened. Just gonna go ahead and remove the chip, and then I'm gonna put down new solder. Of course, once the chip is off, you always want to put down new solder, but especially whenever you're working with water damage, because you don't want corrosion being mixed in with your pads. So the chip's oriented upside down. BQ is facing upward. I have to remember that. I think I'd be safe turning up the air in my hot air station a bit. Sure takes a while to melt this. Although, just for this go, I'm gonna leave it. Maybe next time. Yeah, here it comes. Alright. I think the pads are all still in place. None of them is completely broken off. They're just dirty. So let me wick off the solder that's already there. And I'll put down some fresh stuff. trying to keep it in frame so that way you can see what I'm doing, but sometimes it moves about and it's hard to keep it in its place. So if you can't see what I'm doing, sorry. Trying to line it up as best I can. I think I'm just going to dry cotton swab this a bit. Okay, now I'll put down some fresh stuff. A little bit of flux. Alright. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Sure does look a bit weird on the camera though. There's too much light. It's really picking up on those shadows. Oh well. Okay. Yeah, I think that's the best we're gonna get it. So now I'm gonna be pulling the spare chip off a donor board. This chip comes off of a board that I looked at before, and it has a blue screen, won't boot, constant boot, blue screen, and I wasn't able to fix it, and that's why I'm just tearing it apart now. But I think blue screens are fixable since it's just a software problem, I believe. And also, if you look on like eBay, you can see that there are repair services on there that claim that they fix blue screens. There seems to be plenty of them out there, so it makes me think that it's actually a thing. It is fixable. People know how to fix them, but I couldn't find it in any of my research. I just missed something though. Because I don't think those repair services could get away with just getting a bad board in and then putting a fresh one in its place, because that wouldn't preserve the people's data. And I'm sure that's why people are sending it off to these repair folk. So you think they're going to be able to get their device revived and their data back. Let me turn up the heat so I don't have to sit here so long. Put up to 400 Celsius. That made it go quicker. Here it comes. Nice. Alright, so before we put it down, I'll take a quick look at it. Yeah, I'm not going to bother cleaning the pads. I think it'll go on just fine. I'm actually going to go ahead and swap all the components around the chip here. That's going to take quite a bit, so I'm not going to bother recording it. I'll be back whenever that's done. Alright, I'm back. So I went ahead and replaced all those components like I said, but I kind of went a little wild and replaced a whole bunch of components while I was at it. I'll show you what I did whenever I'm done here. But I'm going to go ahead and put on this chip. I have it all ready to go. I just need to put some hot air on it to get it stuck down. And the rest of the components that you can see, they're just kind of, free floating. They're on the pads and stuff, but they're not really on that great, like ones up here, they're kind of off center, but I mean, they're on. But since I have the flux down, whenever I get the hot air on it, they'll move into place as they should. So I'm going to really flood this with flux. And you'll see everything jump into place once the hot air gets on it. Alright, here we go. Everything's jumping into place, including that chip. Okay. So let me show you what I did. So I replaced these components, everything around here. This flap here is a little singed, but it still does what it's supposed to do. These guys aren't entirely placed on their pads either, so I'm going to have to give them some hot air to make sure they're 100% in place. Replace this speaker connector, replace the battery connector. What else did I do? I haven't done anything with this yet, although I'm going to probably redo most of these components. I went ahead and redid the LCD connector. This is a fresh one. Redid the all these components, as well as the camera connector here. Yeah, so that's what I've been up to. Also a few things on the back. Yeah, there's some corrosion around here. I think whenever I was heating up the board so that way I could get the connector on the opposite side, I knocked this a bit loose. This does not look, you can't really see it in your view because you can't see the whole thing of it. Hold on, let me adjust it a bit so maybe you can see better. There. A little bit better, but it's definitely off center, so I'm gonna have to redo that. So if it wasn't for that, I think I would go ahead and power it on and see what happens. So I'm gonna go ahead and so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put that chip on straight that I just mentioned, and I'm going to, oh yeah, that's right, these where is it? Places still has a bit of corrosion. Here. I'm gonna put on a new chip, and probably at least these components here. Alright, so I'll see you back. Update time. Okay, so I went ahead and redid this chip like I said I was going to, and I had a bit of trouble because on the opposite side of that was this the connector for the touch screen, and whenever I would undo one, or whenever I put one on, the other would fall off, so I would be I was trying to readjust the chip on the other side and this guy would fall off, and vice versa. Eventually got it though. I had to use some heat tape to keep it down, but it's in now. I said I wasn't going to redo this connector by this BQ chip. I said it, you know, it works, I'm not going to redo it, but I wasn't happy with it, just didn't like the way it looked, so I put a new one on. And finally, this chip, the one with the little bit of corrosion around it, my donor board actually is a little bit different. Let me show you. It looks like this. It's not the same chip, so I can't get a replacement for this chip off my donor board, so I'm gonna leave it. Just gonna see what happens. Alright, so I'm gonna try to power it on. Let's see what happens. So all that we have to do to test whether or not it turns on is have a known good battery attached to it. Don't actually need any of the peripherals. Anything else is just extra. We don't even need the screen because we can see by the amperage how much amps it's taken, so we can see whether or not it's booting or charging or doing anything at all. So here's that switch from earlier, the one that we plugged in, just to see what would happen. Yeah, that's all I got. I didn't try opening it up or anything. I just saw that it, yep, touchscreen works, LCD works. Wow, look at all these games. I bet they're all cartridge though. Let's see. Zelda, Fortnite. Oh. Okay. The big games are all cartridge, yeah. Elders, yeah. Okay, so the only digital games would be Minecraft, Pokemon Quest, Minecraft Nintendo Switch Edition. Huh, I didn't know there's a different edition. Yeah, so these four are digital. Okay. Well, still cool. Everything seems to work too. I'll have to do some more testing, but yeah, that's working great. Didn't even do anything to it, just had to charge it. Awesome. Now let's see about this guy. I'm gonna say no, it's not gonna turn on, just because of the sheer amount of work that's gone into this thing. I just feel like something has had to have gone wrong somewhere. Okay, here we go. 0.46. Okay. Are you gonna drop to 0? No. Alright, steady 0.46. if it were to drop to 0 amps and then go back up to 1, that means it's booting, but 0.46, that usually means bad video chip. Well, I mean, we fixed the charge chip issue because it's different now. I didn't touch the charge chip at all. I didn't see anything wrong with it either. I mean, it could definitely be something other than the charge chip. Or video chip, I mean. What else could bring it to 0.46 amps? I'm gonna do some more looking around on it. So I've got some bad news. I did a little bit of probing around on my own, and here, I'll show you what I found out. So here's the video chip, and I'm gonna test the components around. That's good. These ones up here are linked to the video chip. So on one side of the capacitor, no beep. On the other side, there is a beep. That means it's good. If both sides of the capacitor are shorting, then that means there's a problem in that circuit line somewhere. So video chip's good. That proves that. 0.46 amps was what it was drawing whenever we plugged it in. And I remembered I had that problem before whenever I played with a few switchboards before that had a bad CPU. So just to see, bouncing all around there. So just to see, I went and tested the components under the CPU. CPU's right here. And on the opposite side of the board are all these capacitors and resistors. So let's just test a few, see what happens. There's one side, there's the other. That one's good. There's one side, there's the other. There are a few. So as you can see, not on all of them, but on quite a few of them, about like half the ones I'm testing, they're all shorting. And if you have that on your CPU, it's pretty much a done job. It's not worth messing with it because you can't replace the CPU. As far as I know, I think it's bound by serial to the board. If you can, that'd be great, and I'd love to know, but I thought about reflowing the CPU, and then maybe throwing it in the ultrasonic cleaner. So I think I might do that, and if anything changes, you know, I'll record it, but if it's still dead, there's nothing that can be done. I'm just, you know, I think I'll end the video here. So kind of a sad ending, but, you know, again, we learned something. You know, it was a fun journey. So in the next video, actually, what I've planned is the Zelda switch that we looked at. You know, I got it working up and, you know, all is good. So I tried to dock it, and it's green light is flashing on the dock, and it's not displaying on the dock. So actually, we're gonna have something to look at here. So not a totally lost cause. So that'll be the next part. We'll take a look at this guy, figure out why he's not docking. All right, cool.